Okay, guys, let's start today's session. Okay, so far yesterday I have been saying about some layers of development, application development. I believe you understood the concepts of so what all the things are required for application development. Okay, so I'll just give you a recap, then we'll go into actual topic. Okay, so for developing an application, we need three layers. First layer is front end layer. Second layer is nothing but a business layer. It's sort of like a backend. And third layer is data layer that holds actual data. Okay, I have been discussing yesterday regarding the bridge between data and UI is something that business logic, that's a backend layer. Now we'll be particularly focusing on the concepts which are related to front end in this session. Okay, so I already gave you the glance about what actually the front end. Okay, the front end is nothing but representing a physical entity on over the internet. Okay, you just imagine some. We have discussed yesterday the concept of representing a physical business on internet, right? The same thing. Just you are the guys who will prepare a UI. That UI need to be understandable for user, so that represents actual business. Yesterday we have been discussing about a supermarket. That sort of like a to bring that supermarket over internet, we need to develop a application. That application needs front end, back end, and database. Okay, now think of like we'll be particularly focusing on front end in this particular batch, in this complete batch. So let me give you glance about what all the things are required for front end. Okay, so now I have a question for you guys. So basically we are communicating with each other. So what is the bridge between our bridge between the persons? Means a person is talking something like, assume a person A is talking and person B is listening. So so you just think like a scenario. Person A is trying to say his thoughts to person B. Now the bridge between person A and person B is something like a language. Okay, so he is the person A is something like he has some thought in his mind and he's trying to express the thought through one bridge. That bridge is known as a language. I believe everyone know about this communication, conversation. So the basic principle of communication and basic principle of conversation is something like language. The language is something that which you need to speak and other need to be understandable. Okay, so basically everything, not only in perspective of humans, in perspective of missions. So there is some a bridge. There is a bridge called language. Okay, so not only between the humans and not only between the machines. It's all about between humans. It's all about between human and machine, and mission to mission. Everything. The bridge between the communication. The bridge reason for the bridge is something that the bridge is responsible. The bridge which is responsible for understanding and making things possible is known as a language. Okay, in general I can say that a person who speaks Telugu and a person who understands the Telugu, he might understand what the person is saying and what is the thought of that person. That's in the same way. Now you are trying to deal something like you are trying to deal what you are trying to deal. You are going to prepare a UI. For preparation of that UI, you need to communicate with a machine. That machine is nothing but a computer. Okay, so now you are going to communicate with the machine that through a language. Okay, through a language you want to communicate with machine, and that machine in turns whatever the instructions you are giving, that machine will be understanding those instructions, and those based on the instructions, the machine will prepare a UI. You are not going to prepare any UI, but you are the person who is sitting behind and writing a logic or something like writing a code or something like writing something that actually machine understands that language, and it simply prepares UI behalf of you. Okay, I are you clear about what I'm saying? So, what is the prominence of language here? So, in general, I would like to say something like between the human, how language is something like which is making possible everything. In between human and machine is also a language which is required to make your what do we say that to prepare your targets. Actually, to prepare your targets, we need to have something called a language. Okay, not only between human and human, but also human and mission. So in terms of mission, if you are particularly focusing on front end, you need to learn about the languages which are responsible for building a front end, and also something languages which are responsible for uh, doing some logics. Okay, so in general, I could say something that as a front end developer, you need to have a knowledge on languages which are responsible for making the UI, making the UI. Okay, now let me give you glance about that languages which are helpful for you to prepare a UI. The first language I would like to, so basically, I would like to ask a question for all of you guys. So you are something like you are here, right? So you might be know about languages, programming languages like C, C++, Java, and Python. So recently, Python is getting very familiarized, right? So what do you think of that language? So what is so it all termed as a language. Now, what is that role of that Python? What is that role of Java? What is that role of C? What is the role of C++? So can anyone do anyone have a doubt? Did anyone got a doubt? So what actually this Java is doing, what actually this JavaScript is doing, what actually this Python is doing, what actually this C++ is doing. So I want to ask you three questions that, so what all these languages are doing. Do anyone can share your experience about what all these languages in market? You are seeing many languages, right? C, C++. What are these? What are the languages? What are these languages actually? So I'm terming these as a languages. Now I already gave you the example of language and how the language is actually useful in application development. Okay. Now I want you guys to think on what actually these languages are. C, C++, Java. So what? Sorry, someone is saying something. Okay, if you want to talk, you can unmute yourself or raise a hand. I can unmute yourself. Okay, so I want to make you understand that for to develop an application, one needs to understand the core concept of language. Okay, the language which you will be learning, that will decide what type of developer you are. So here, particularly when you see that you are particularly chosen your career as a front end developer, so you need to have some knowledge on presentation language and also programming language. And if a person is particularly choosing a career as a backend developer, he doesn't need to have a knowledge of presentation, but he needs to have a knowledge on programming language. Okay, now I will show you each and every difference. What is this programming language? What is this presentation language? And why it's important for so what are the things are covering under presentation language, and what are the things are covered under programming language, and why this, how the machine, how particularly computer is able to understand these languages. Okay, now let me share my screen. I'll share my screen and I'll show you a few things. Okay, now I actually prepared, I'm preparing the document for this batch, which is, I already have prepared some few document, which is for UI 13 batch. Now this batch would have some more refinements over the document. So the first thing I want to discuss about, what is a language? I have already said you the core reason behind the communication or conversation is something that language. So language enables you to understand the things and express the things. Okay, and when it comes to language in terms of computers and software, it is something like has more, the core idea is similar. It's still about the communication, but in computer, in particularly in computing, the languages are known as a programming languages. Okay, it's not, I'm just terming it as a programming language. No, and now I shall keep on changing this definition of programming languages going through the batch. So you need to intercept it yourself how this language definition is going to change. Okay, now we shall go one by one, learning what is language actually. So this first we have done, we have understood the language. Next we have jumped over what is the language in terms of computers and software. Okay, it's just like a humans, how the humans, how the humans use language to talk to each other. A programmer, nothing but yourself, a developer, used to talk to the machines. So it's something like a language is a language in terms of computer or software is something that a programmer or a developer, how he need to communicate with how he communicates with the machine. That is the core concept of programming language. Okay, so simply you can give an we can term it as it's a language between developer and machine. So think of like it's a language between machine and a developer, nothing but human. Okay, normally language is something that between human and human, but programming languages, programming languages or languages associated with software computers are something like language between human and computers. Okay, are you clear about this? What actually the meaning of language in computers and software, guys? Are you clear? Yeah, fine. Now you have learned about what is a language in computer and software. Now see, what are the languages available in computers and softwares. Firstly, you just focus on the for you have focused on the language. What is a language? But in computers and softwares, particularly, there are many languages which are in the picture, which are in the market and which are in the picture. Okay, first thing which I need to discuss is something like a programming language. Okay, you're seeing my screen, right? A programming language is nothing but it's a complex language. Okay, just we can say that it's a complex language that is required for that is required for a machine to understand. Okay, now let me give you what actually this programming language is. Suppose you are a developer, you write some code. Actually, you will be writing some code like you are using, maybe you will be coming into you'll be come to know, you'll be in future you will be knowing about what are the terms I'm speaking. But for now, you just remember, just think of like a programming language is nothing but set of instructions provided for a computer. Okay, programming language is nothing but a developer will provide some instructions for computer. That computer, what it will do means it will read that instructions and it will understand that instructions, and it will give you the output based on the instructions which are provided by the developer. Okay, in simpler manner we can say that a programming language is nothing but a set of instructions or a code which is written by a developer to developer for whom? For machine. You'll be writing some code. That code needs to be understandable. That code needs to be understandable by computer, and computer will read it, and computer will intercept it, and it will prepare the output as per the instructions given for that computer. Okay, now you think of like what are the language in computer. I'm saying that the first the first thing is, no, you need to you need to see about programming languages. So I wrote some examples like Python, Java, C++, JavaScript. Okay, now see, these are something like it's not about only Python, it's Java, C++, JavaScript. It about Kotlin, Swift, and also something like you can have here .NET, anything, all high level languages, all the languages where a developer now all the developers are learning something, right? So those languages are all comes under programming languages. So why do you learn that languages? So you learn that languages just to prepare instructions for computer. So your role is something that you need to make use of this programming language, and you need to prepare an instructions for computer, where that computer will read that instructions, and it will prepare output. Okay, when in terms of programming language, what sort of stuff you can prepare is something like you can prepare software, you can prepare apps, you can prepare websites, you can prepare games. It's all something like a programming languages are nothing but a set of instructions. Okay, that instructions are particularly responsible for building a software, building an app, building a website, building a games. Okay, now you might got a doubt, you might get a doubt, you might be having some doubt. So here I have mentioned JavaScript, but where is HTML, where is CSS? Does this comes under programming languages? You might get that doubt, you might have that doubt actually. But just listen to my words. So the Python, Java, C++, JavaScript, C, these are something like a languages which involves logic building. Okay, here in particularly programming languages, when we take these programming languages, this has logic. Logic is something that you will perform some arithmetic operation. You will perform something like 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, 1 minus 10 minus 2 equal to 8. So you are performing some logic there. So that logic can be written by using only programming languages. Okay. So those languages which are useful to define a logic are known as a programming languages. So now the examples of programming languages are all the languages which you are seeing in the market, like Python, C, C++, Java, JavaScript. Those all things are comes under programming language, because you will be writing logics by using those languages. Okay, and purpose of these programming languages is to build softwares, complete software. I'm saying you complete software, complete application, complete website, complete game. Okay, complete game. So everything I'm saying complete, complete, complete. It's sort of like a programming language is necessary, is useful for building a complete application. Okay, complete application. Now come back to our question. Does HTML see where does this HTML when where does this HTML will be placing? Where is CSS? All those things. What about those things? Now coming back to here, coming back to programming languages in computer. Now we have seen some languages which are something called programming languages, and we have some other language called markup languages. Okay, markup languages. So here you just see the wording. So you're seeing something like programming languages, and I have given enough information about programming languages. Now come here to see the markup languages. Markup is nothing but you want to understand the meaning of actual markup. Markup is presentation. Okay, markup is nothing but a presentation. You are preparing something to present. Okay, you are preparing something to present. For example, when you hit something control P, you are hitting something control P. Okay, you are trying to hit something control P. Now what actually this computer is doing, it's actually preparing this document, preparing the margins, preparing the content. What it actually doing, it is preparing the content for what, for presentation. For presentation, it's preparing the content. So this is known as a markup actually. So the meaning of markup is something that you are preparing something to present. Okay, and this markup and we have something category called, apart from programming languages, we have something category called markup languages. Now, these markup languages are nothing but a presentation languages, where you will be using some languages to present the content. Okay, now you should go here and you'll see Amazon. Now I'm clicking on Amazon. Okay, you're seeing some Amazon logo here, and you're seeing something address, and you're seeing something search, and you're seeing something like a sign in button here, cart, and you are seeing some cards, some products. So what is which is responsible for preparing this UI? The language which is responsible for preparing this UI is nothing but a markup language. So in markup, what you are trying to do, you are trying to prepare this website for presentation. So based on the presentation which you are seeing, you understood something like, okay, when I click here, I might go to air conditioners. Okay, so what sort of knowledge you are get for user is getting? He can able to understand the things. When he clicks on air conditioners, he is going to air conditioner break. So, and what actually is presenting this line, what actually is presenting this content is nothing but a markup. The markup which is responsible for presenting this content, presenting the Amazon website, is nothing but a HTML. Okay, I'll explain you that. But the markup language which is responsible for building the websites or web pages is HTML actually. I'll let you know, but I want you to understand what is the difference between programming languages and markup languages. So programming languages involves a logic where you will be performing some operations, but markup languages are nothing but these are used to structure the data, place the element. You're placing some element here, some card here, and you're placing some search bar here, and you're placing logo here. So who decides this one? So the markup language which you are using, that language will decide where you need to place this content. Actually, it will be helping you to place the content exactly where you decide to place it actually. Now, HTML is the language which is responsible for preparing markup for this Amazon website. Okay. Similarly, when you go back here, try to hit something control P, you are seeing something like a prompt, a print window. Actually it's preparing the document, this document preparing is nothing but a presentation. So and you're something doing like preparing the markup, and what you're trying to do, you're trying to present it for user, present it for whom, for user you're going to present it. Okay, so this markup languages are also known as presentation languages. And examples of markup languages are nothing but HTML and XML. You don't want to worry about this XML, but I'll make you understand what XML is. The XML, but you must be very much focused about HTML. We will be covering this HTML in this batch, and what sort of things you'll be doing with HTML language, and what all the things you'll be learning in HTML language. I'll be giving those brief things. And you just you just now you can assume now you can guess what is actually markup language and programming language. Actually markup language is nothing but the language which is helpful for preparing your UI. Okay, you're preparing your UI. Okay, just to place you are using markup language to place the content, to place the elements, place the content accordingly. I mean, you are interested to place an image, you are interested to place an e-video. So and you decide some place for placing that element. So that sort of thing is known as a markup, and that is the major difference between markup language and programming language. And nothing but markup languages are used to structure the document, whereas programming languages are used to perform operations on the document. Okay, are you clear? Am I going speedily? Am I going fast? Or are you able to understand the concepts which I am trying to explain? What do you say, guys? Guys, are you able to understand what I'm trying to say? Just give heads up or something like chat in. Okay, you are going fast or something like. I want to you to answer. So based on that, I can adjust myself to. Yeah, fine. Yeah, fine. Fine. Okay. Sure, sure. Now, I believe you guys have understood what is actually programming languages and markup language. Now, in this batch particularly, we will be trying to cover a HTML language, which is a markup language that which act that. Okay, some message. Okay, yeah. So in this batch, we will be trying to cover markup languages. We'll be trying to cover HTML, and in programming languages, we will be trying to cover JavaScript, and also advanced programming languages like React and Next.js. Okay, are you clear about these programming languages which I am going to cover? It's JavaScript and React. And in markup languages, I'll be going to cover HTML. Okay, and for your understanding, other than these languages, is there any other languages which are used in computers? Yeah, which are used in building software. There are some languages which are necessarily known to every developer, but it's not. It's up to you to focus on that. I don't stress you to focus on that, but you just learn. You just understand what actually it's doing. Okay. So the programming language, as a front-end developer, you must know about programming languages, and you must know about markup languages. And as a in computers or in application development, there is one another language called query language. Query language is nothing but for as I said that in application development there are three layers of development: front end development, back end development, and data layer. In data layer, there will be some data, but remember, how do we get the data from database to front end? How do we transport the data from database to front end? So it's through business logic. You are clear about that business logic. But how to get the data from database? There is some language called query language. This query language is nothing but you will be interacting with database, like asking for data, updating the data, and organizing the data in the database. Okay, that's query language that you don't want to focus on this much, because it's particularly the backend developers will be focusing much on these query languages. Okay, you need to focus on programming languages and markup languages. And actually, I placed programming languages JavaScript. I place JavaScript under programming language, but in general, JavaScript will comes under scripting language. Okay, JavaScript will comes under scripting languages. This is something like a language which actually directly interact with operating systems. Okay, in computer we'll be having some operating systems, nothing but a computers. It's all about the interacting with computers only. But JavaScript, Python, Bash, and AML, those all comes under scripting languages. You don't want to focus on this much, but it's sort of like you need to much focused on what is markup language and what is programming language. Okay, now actually I almost gave the topics which gave everything about what actually presentation language is doing it. So it's sort of like presentation language is nothing but we primarily use it to define the layout and structure and appearance of the content, okay, that is displayed to the user. Maybe once you go through this document and compare the things which I have been explaining on the video, then you will be understanding better. Okay, now actually I have given something like presentations. So we have been discussing about presentation is nothing but markup language. Okay, don't confuse with this, because I wrote here markup and why I wrote here past presentation, like you might get confused, but both are similar, presentation and markup languages. Okay, no problem, you can term it as a presentation or markup language. So as I said that in markup language I'll be discussing about hyper HTML. HTML is nothing but hypertext markup language, that you will be learning more about that what is actually HTML and what all the stuff you will be going to do with HTML, and how do you configure HTML, and how do you develop and how do you learn HTML, what other things are present in HTML that are helpful for building some UI. All those things you will be learning one by one in coming sessions. But for now, you understood that presentation languages has again two types. One is HTML and XML. Leave about this XML, because XML you are not going to learn about this XML. But for your reference, I just gave this XML, what actually XML does means. It's also like a markup language. Here you will be using something like a tags which like div h1p. So what all the things these tags I will be explaining when we are actually discussing about HTML. But for now, you understand there are two types of markup languages. One is HTML, and another thing is called XML. HTML is something that which you will be learning, and XML is something that extensible markup language which we will be not covering. But just observe the syntax. Here you have something that defined tags. H1 is defined tag, P is defined tag. Actually, what is the difference between HTML and XML is something that here the tags which you are using are defined, are something like already there present in the HTML, and that are universally acceptable, and those are something like universally used by all the developers. But here you are seeing something like extension markup language. While XML does not focus for presentation directly, it often uses container for data actually. So here, what actually extensible markup language would be doing something like this. Book is something like it works as a container, but you don't want to focus on this one. If you focus on this one, you will be forgetting about the core concept of HTML. So right now you just leave it, but you just assume something like it's also a markup language that is similar to HTML. Okay, now after this one, how actually presentation languages would be working. So now you have been learning, as a front-end developer, you need to learn about, I have been consistently saying something like you want to learn about markup languages, and you want to presentation language, and you want to have the knowledge of programming languages. And why do we need that actual programming languages knowledge? That's I'll be explaining you in a while. So now think of like you have a requirement, something like you need to build some website, something like this. Okay, you're trying to build some website like this web page. So now think of when I click here, when I try to search something, when I try to search something, okay, I try to search something and hit on this one, it's showing some results. It's actually showing it's searching some data. It's searching over the database, and it's getting the results accordingly what you have searched here. Okay. Now think of like you are preparing a web page. You are preparing web page. Now go here and you just click on website. Okay. Sorry, Wikipedia. Okay. Wikipedia. Okay. Wikipedia. Okay. Now you click on Wikipedia and just observe this one. And I want everyone to try something like Wikipedia React. Okay. Wikipedia React. Okay. Now you click here and just click on the page React software. Okay. React software. So now even myself. So how many members are in the call? Let me see. Okay, Deepika, Gayatri, Girish, Kurutej, okay, Kumar, Jalaja, Mubina, Nikhil. Okay, fine. There are some 11 members. All these 11 members, if you try to hit this page, React software and observe the content which is here is something that it's same for everyone. It's same for you. It's same for me. It's same for Deepika. It's same for Jalaja. It's same for Bubina. Everyone would see the same content here. Then we would not term this as a website. It's a web page. Okay, it's a web page. It's a web page where there is no dynamic functionality. Okay, come here and just click on Abibus. Okay, Abibus. Okay, if you click on Abibus and if you try to hit here and if you try to search from Hyderabad to Bangalore, then I'll be searching here and you will be seeing something like a results which these results are for me. These results are for me. When if someone searches for other places, something if someone searches for Chennai to Bangalore, the application is same. Application is same, but what actually here happening? Application is same, but the results which are here are different for different user. So this type of things are known as a web application, and it needs some programming language support to perform this type of dynamic updates. Okay, now you make sure you're clear about this one. This type of web application requires the knowledge of programming languages which involves dynamic content, because this content is for me. For some other, this content would be some other thing, some other content. So if here you're saying something like LVP travels, so but when you click on Chennai, you will be seeing some different content. Okay, for me, for others, this would be some different content. So the application is same. Abibus is the application which you are trying to access, but what's actually happening? The content is dynamic for everyone. So this type of interface you need to build if you want to build this type of interface. So this is termed as a web application, and it requires a support of programming languages. That's the reason why a person who is learning presentation language are needed to learn the programming languages, which allows you to make a static website. This is like this static web page, but this is something like a dynamic website. Static page, to convert a static page into dynamic website, you need to learn the languages which are responsible for doing that one. Those are called programming languages, and in that programming languages we will be covering JavaScript. Okay, we will be covering JavaScript. Okay, now you just assume something like to complete the front end development, you need to have the knowledge about markup languages, which is HTML, and a programming languages, which is JavaScript. Okay, now you're clear about how presentation languages work together. So to make a website from static to dynamic, what you need to do? You need to make use of some programming languages which actually perform the dynamicality. No worries, I will explain each and everything, how the static website is going to convert into dynamic, and what sort of stuff would be there to actually doing that job, converting of static into dynamic. And I'll let you know one by one. It's not the right time to put everything in at a place, so that's the reason we'll be going slowly. Okay, now here you're seeing something like a CSS. So I have explained you about the HTML. HTML is something like a markup language, and JavaScript something like a programming languages, which a front-end developer need to have idea about that. But what about the CSS? So it's sort of like I will give you an example. No worries. For now, you just assume CSS is nothing but a style. It comes under style sheet languages. Actually, how you have markup language, programming language, and we have something called as style sheet language, and these style sheet languages would support both HTML and XML. So these style sheet languages would work along with HTML and XML. Without HTML and XML, these style sheet languages doesn't have any impact. But these HTML and XML languages, to support the HTML and XML languages, we need CSS. CSS is nothing but a style sheet languages which supports the presentation of HTML. Okay, just remember, CSS is nothing but a style sheet languages that supports the presentation that supports the HTML presentation or XML presentation. How they will present, how they will support means they will apply the styles. Now you'll be getting doubt what is styles. Now you shall go here and you'll see you're seeing something the blue color here, a background blue color, and you're seeing something orange color, and you're seeing something logo. But when you go here, you're seeing something different colors here. You're seeing something red color. You're seeing something like the colors which are very different, the logos which here the logos are different, as text is different. All these things can be controlled by styling. Okay, styling is nothing but you are preparing the content, and you're applying the styles. And now I'll explain you that. For now you understood something like HTML is something that which is required to known as a markup language. Then in style sheet languages you would be focusing on CSS, and in programming languages you would be focusing on JavaScript. Now these three combinedly works to form a front end layer. Okay, a basic front end layer can be built by using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, by using these three technologies, we'll be trying to build a basic template. Can build a basic HTML, basic front end application. You can build a basic front end application by using this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, so it's sort of like I will be explaining you those things in a while. But remember, these are the things you would be as a front end developer. Your responsible is to understand these things very clearly. Okay. Now here comes as a front end developer, as a front end developer, as a front end developer, as a what is what's happening here? I could not type. Okay. Okay. So as a front end developer, as a front end developer, as a front end developer, you need to have basic front end skills. Basic front end skills that involves HTML, learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript. This is enough. This is enough to an application. This is enough to build an application. But you will be getting some doubt. So we can build an application using these three. But why do we need React, Angular, those type of why do we need those type of technologies? I will give you justification. Now you just remember basic front end skill is this one only. If you are very thorough with understanding of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you can easily extend yourself to advanced front end skill. So I'll be mentioning few things in advanced front end skill. Advanced front end skill. So you want to learn about jQuery, you can learn about Angular, or you can learn about React. So these are something like advanced front end skill. So why do we need this actually? Why do we can't we stop with basic front end skill? Does it not required to build a full-fledged web application? Yes, it's pretty much, you're pretty much correct. The front as the basic front end skill, HTML, CSS, JavaScript alone can make a website which is a good looking website, a good performing website, good operating website. But web application, you can make it to a basic front end skill. But actually, so as a front end developer, your role is to prepare a UI. Now think of like, I'll try to hit something at Hyderabad here. I'm using this application. I click on search. Now see how quickly it's transiting from one layout to another. The layout which you are seeing is different from previous layout, which is different, and this is the new layout which you are seeing. When I try to click again Goa to Bangalore, then you will be seeing something like a different layout. So this transition from one layout to another layout would be nothing termed as nothing but a DOM manipulations. Okay, DOM manipulations. Something like what you will be doing. Something means if you try to search here, I have searched previously Goa to Bangalore. I got some results. Now I'm going to search again. You'd be seeing something like a a loader, and also something like a different results. But how this is happening? This is happening correctly. Okay, with the JavaScript also you can do it, but to perform the DAM manipulations, DOM manipulations is nothing but DOM is nothing but a document object model that you will be learning in a head classes. But for now, you understand DOM is nothing but a arrangement of elements. Okay, arrangement of elements. Now you are seeing something like an element here. A card is displaying with Jing plus bus, CVR travels, Jing plus bus, Sri Krishna travels. And I try to hit something. So this particular thing is going to change now. See, now you're seeing something with different tiles. So how this is happening? How that is happening? So previously you're seeing something different tile, and now you're seeing something different tile. So this is known as a DOM manipulating, nothing but arrangement of elements. So you are trying to manipulate the arrangement of elements. So firstly, when you try to visit, when you go here, Abibus, you are seeing something layout. This one, sorry, this layout has something like it has a navigation bar, it has a logo, it has a search, and it has something called discount offers, and it has something like, suddenly when you try to hit something like Hyderabad to Bangalore and you click on search, you are seeing some different layout. How this DOM is getting changed within second, in a fraction of second you are going to see that change. How this is happening actually? So a basic web application can be designed, can be developed by using HTML, CSS, JavaScript. But the thing is that when you try to perform some DOM manipulations, something like layout shifts, you have seen something layout shift, right? DOM manipulation. This manipulation is something like a expensive process. Expensive process. You need to control this manipulation expensive process. This expense, controlling of this DOM manipulation would be possible only with advanced front end skill. Okay, when you try to learn about what you're doing, you will be learning some basic front end skill, but you are extending to advanced front end skill just to control the manipulations on the DOM. On the DOM, you are going to change the elements, you're going to change the arrangement of elements, you're going to interact with that elements, and you'll be performing some operations, you'll be performing some arrangements, you'll be performing some layout shifts. All those things can be efficiently handled by advanced front end skill. There you can learn jQuery, you can learn Angular, you can learn React, you can learn Next.js, and you can learn Vue.js. Anything you that's your choice. You can learn anything. But in the advanced front end skill, we will be covering React.js and Next.js. Okay, you're clear about what we are going to cover in this batch, right? Am I right? Are you able to understand the things which I'm trying to say? So this is the things which you are going to cover in basic skill and basic front end skill and advanced front end skill. Okay. Along with this, we will be covering much more stuff that will be that will be in the middle. We'll be adding those things. But actually, that's all about what I'm trying to say now. To make it possible, so I believe everyone are able to understand actually what is a language. I believe everyone understand the concept of language, and what is a presentation language, and what is a markup language, and what is programming languages, and what is actually styling languages, and what we will be covering in this batch. Okay, now actually now we will today in this today's session we will be trying to prepare environment. Okay, we'll be trying to prepare an environment. So I asked it already, you guys to connect from computer, I mean connect from your system or mission, right? So now here I want you guys to start setting up your machine to support programming. Okay, so here the first thing you need to focus is nothing but first thing I'll be covering in this session: setup and fundamentals. Okay, setup and fundamentals. Okay, setup and fundamentals. We have already covered fundamentals to much extent. If there is anything to be covered, I'll be covered. But first thing, we'll be focusing on the setup. The first setup. In the first setup, will be configuring. First, in the setup process, we'll be configuring. We'll be configuring the IDE. 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 What is this IDE actually? So remember something like when you start your programming, you need to have something like when you go here and you'll be seeing something like, do I see, I am having here notepad plus plus. So what actually this one notepad plus plus, here you're right, you can write something like, you can type something like, so this is something like an editor. It works as an editor where you can able to prepare any file, something like you can prepare CSS file, you can prepare JavaScript file, you can prepare HTML file, you can prepare anything. So now Notepad is nothing but a editor, right? And you have something called normal Notepad. So this is also an editor. So can't we use this for development purpose? Yes, we can use it, but to facilitate our requirements and developer to facilitate a smooth development process, and also for as a developer you need to work very fastly and to support some inbuilt features and to support some features which are required, when you are code, when you're trying to code, then you need to particularly focus on choosing the code editors. Okay, choosing the code editors, configuring the IDE is nothing but integrated development element. Okay, remember something like IDE is nothing but IDE. So I'm writing here, right? IDE is nothing but integrated development development environment. Okay, what actually this one means, so this development environment, this will have as the development, this integrated development supporting tools will have an environment that can support your development, it will give automatic, it will give something like some autocomplete code, and it will give something syntax highlighting, and it will give something like error checking. Those all those things are possible with the help of integrated development environment. So something like if you are trying to code for the first time, if you write something like HTML, okay, you will be writing something like HTML, okay, HTML, this is the tag which is responsible for building HTML pages. But you can't you write this in a notepad, you can write this as a notepad, but if you want to choose a editor which allows your work to be done in a finer way, and also it helps you to not only type everything, not only actually I don't have this VS code, I believe. Okay, this is new system. I don't have VS Code. I'll install along with you. But understand something like when you choose something like integrate development environment tools like some Note, Visual Studio Code, those tools will have something called a feature that auto completes your code. Thereby, you don't want to remember each and every tag, start syntax and end syntax. You're not required to remember each and every tag, but you need to have that knowledge, but you are not required to remember each and every tag, because the code editor which you are using, that will have some inbuilt feature that auto completes everything. Okay, but as a beginner, as I suggest you to practice this in Notepad plus plus for some time. But after practicing in Notepad plus plus, you can go with some advanced code editors that will fasten your development. Okay, in that among the code editors which got very much popularized in recent development environment is something called VS Code. Okay, VS Code is one such editor, and you can also use Notepad plus plus. Notepad plus plus is one such editor, and also you have something called Sublime, Atom is something like a editor, and I'll show you what all this one. No worries. Sublime is also an editor. I'll show you. So these are something like a editors which allows you to develop your code actually. So quickly, I'll go to here. I'll go to here showing VS Code. Okay, VS Code. This is an integrated development environment which is uh, most used by developers across the not across, almost everywhere you will be using this Visual Studio Code. So simply you can hit on which as I hit something like VS Code, you went there and you hit on the Windows, right? You just find the Windows icon and just hit on that Windows icon, it starts downloading the file. Okay, once it's got downloaded, just click on that one, you will be able to download it, and just click on I accept agreement and just next. uh, Yes. Next. Create a desktop icon. Next. Okay, install. Okay, it will take some time to install this editor. So you can choose any of your desired editor, but I recommend you to choose Visual Studio Code, because which is widely used. Most of the developers will use VS Code, and you have many other integrated IDEs where you can also go with something like Atom. You can go with Atom. This is also something like editor. Atom is something like editor, and you have something called Sublime is also one of the editor. It's also an editor. Okay, you can go with any of your desired one, but I recommend you to go with the VS Code. Okay, so once after completion, okay, finish. Now you will be seeing some interface similar to me, similar to mine. Okay, similar to mine. Okay, this is what VS Code. This is what VS Code, which actually where this editor is particularly used to set up your environment, set up your development phase, development mode. Okay, now how do you open this one? Once after installing, you can directly go here and you can find your icon here, VS Visual Studio Code. You can just double click on it. If you don't have something like, if you don't find that icon, you can go here, search. You can just hit for VS Code. Okay, VS Code, and you will be seeing that icon, and you can just hit and enter. You'll be coming to this place. Okay, okay. Now, when you are trying to learn start HTML, I want you to install two extensions which will be helpful for your development mode. So I'll want you to search. You click on this fifth icon. You'll be seeing something like search extension in marketplace, and you just hit on live server. Okay, live server. Okay, live server. Just hit on live server, and just you're seeing something like the first option. Just click here and just try to install it. Okay, install it. Trust publisher and install it. Okay, you just try to install this one. So why this is required means, this is required to run your HTML files. You can likely run your HTML files normally, but in when to run your HTML files in a server mode, you need to have this live server which supports server actually. Okay, along with this one, you need to install Prettier. Okay, you try to install this one. So this is required. This is also required. Prettier and live server, which is required for making your development process smooth. Actually, what it does, I'll show you. I'll show you now. I already said you a few things, right? When you try to write HTML, it auto prompts something. If you want to see this one, I'll just show you an example. For now, you understood something like what actually doing, right? So it's all about configuring the IDE, which is a VS Code for your development purpose. You just everyone whoever connected with system, try to install this IDE and let me know if you face any of the issues. If you face any of the issues, please let me know. I'll try to resolve it. Maybe I'll just try to connect with you one to one, and I'll try to resolve it. And something like everyone. I believe some experienced guys would already know about this one, but some the guys whoever don't have the about knowledge about this IDE. You just install this IDE, and all those things which throughout our batch would be going here only. Okay, okay, and coming. This is editor. This is fine. This is editor. Okay, this is the editor where you are trying to make your code changes, code. Okay, now what you need to do means, suppose if you want to create your HTML file, so you choose one location. You choose your file explorer. You just click on explorer and you choose a location. No, now I'll be choosing local disk D. You can choose any of your location. You can choose desktop. You can choose the downloads. You can choose desktops, or you can choose desktop. You can choose local disk, local D, and you just try to create one folder. Okay, projects, or else something like HTML. You're starting with HTML, right? Maybe create one folder HTML, and if you want to open, you just want to open this HTML folder in VS Code. For that thing, you can go here, VS Code. You can go to VS Code, and you just click on File, and you just open a folder. Click on Open Folder, and you just choose the thing. Choose the HTML folder which you want to open here. If you click on Select Folder, that HTML folder would be opening would open here. So, and you will be creating, if you when you try to create any files, that will be those files would be placing inside this HTML folder only. Okay. Now this is one way to open the folder, and I will show you another way. So now you have created this HTML folder, right? Now what you need to do means you just open this HTML folder, and in the address bar you are seeing something like this PC local disk HTML. Right? Just click here and try to enter CMD. Okay, CMD. Try to enter CMD. Try to enter CMD and press on enter button. When you press on enter button, you will be seeing something like a window which is like a prompt, something command prompt. Here you will just write something like CODE space dot. This will directly open the folder in VS Code. Okay, this will directly open the folder in VS Code. So the both, either the ways you can follow. You can follow either the ways, but this is the way where you need to get adapted when you go forward. Okay. Now I want to create a file. Okay, I'll be creating one file. See, I just hit on new file here, and I'll try to write index.html. Okay, index.html. Now, as soon as when I write something like index.html, you are seeing something icon which is showing something angular brackets. Okay, normal file, normal notepad plus plus doesn't have this feature. This integrated development environment would show you what type of file it is actually. You are giving extension .html. See, you are writing something. I'll create another one more file. One dot, and this is the after dot you need to create. You need to give extension. I'm giving HTML, one.html. See, this is one.html. Okay, this is something like a HTML file, and also something like if you want to create a JavaScript file, you want to write something like index.js. I'll say this thing again when we are trying to learn about those things. But remember, I want to show you the difference of IDE and Notepad. Now you are trying to create JavaScript file. Now you have seen something like JS. JS, it shows it is showing some badge here, JS. So this IDE has this ability. This IDE has this ability to distinguish these files that will make your life easier, your coding easier. Okay. Now I have just created this many files, right? I'll try to write something like, if I try to write, see, when I hit only angle bracket, you are seeing something like all these suggestions. How these suggestions are being shown. This is all because of IDE, the Internet Developer. Sorry, the development environment which you are using. Okay, through this you can use any, and you can just see when I try to hit right, you just click here, it will auto complete the code actually. And moreover, you will just write apostrophe, it will create all boilerplate. So these things can be done only by using development, these type of code editors. And you need to very much particular about choosing the development editor, development environment, that's a code editor for your development. Okay, I recommend you to choose VS Code. Okay, now actually I'll write something here. See, this is first session. Okay, this is first session. Okay, this is first session. This is first session. No worries. We'll be learning about what is this boilerplate and what are these tags, and I'll explain you again when we are trying to explore much things about these things. But for now, you understand this is the first session. So I just created one file and right click on it, and just click on open with a live server. So I can directly open this file here. If you go here and you will be seeing something like inside HTML folder. I have created four files from here from VS Code, and you are actually, these files are created under the low HTML directory which is present here. Okay, which is present here. Now if I try to open this index file, I can directly, it will directly open here. But observe the path here. It will open and it will show the output. See, observe the address here, DHTML index. You are just like, you're opening it as a normal folder, but when you try to open this as with the live server, you are making this, you're setuping what is this? You now you observe this one. Now you observe the difference between this one and this one. The output is same, but you are something like setting up a server. Setting up a server. Server is nothing but when you run, you need to prepare your prepare environment that acts like a server. That mimics like a server, because all the things which you are writing, which you are making, that all will go into server. So that's the way, that is the reason why I was saying something. You, okay, what is this? Okay, I was saying you to install this live server. Okay, this is the live server. This is the extension which is responsible for making this actual normal folder view access to a server view access. Okay, that you are clear, right? That you are clear. Now actually you are writing something here, but where you are seeing this in a browser. So what actually the role of browser actually? So the browser role is something that whatever the code, HTML markup code. So this is nothing but a markup code. Whatever the markup code you are writing, the browser is responsible for converting this markup code into visual appearance. Okay, it is something that the browser is something that which is responsible for converting this markup into markup code. You wrote something code, right? This code is understandable for yourself, but does this is this understandable by uh, machine? No, it won't understand it. The machine could not understand this one, and there is a very lot much art behind behind parsing this, all those things. That if time supports, I'll explain those things also in depth of our. So the thing which you are writing is understandable for yourself, but these things which you wrote here need to be intercepted by computer, and that computer will need to perform give you output. So here the browser is something that which is doing that work. The browser what actually does, it actually intercepts the code which you have written in this index.html file, and after intercepting it after interpreting it actually displays the output which is based on that code which you have written. Okay, and in browser you also have something lot more things you'll be having, and you just remember role of the browser is to display interpret the things which are written in the file, and convert them into a view which is visible for user. Okay, and so this is all something like in Amazon, everything. I'll show you. You'll see something like go to elements, and you'll see something like HTML. This is an HTML. You see doc type HTML, and we also wrote something like doc type HTML. See doc type HTML. So everything, whatever the page you are seeing. So this one also would be a doc, would be HTML file. See this one also HTML file. This one also HTML file. So you are completely making your applications by using HTML only. So all the applications which are present in on the internet, 90% of them are HTML. So HTML is widely used markup language to prepare your presentation. And who is responsible for converting this code into view which where the user is seeing? Sorry, the browser is a thing which is controlling that view, converting the code, and it is actually showing the UI. Okay, and actually browser will going forward you'll be learning lot more things I'll be explaining, but for now you just understand few things which I'll show you here. Okay, let me go here and find it all. Or refresh. So you are seeing something right here: document, PNG, WebP, text and text backslash CSS, SVG plus XML. So these text you focus on the script and text slash CSS. So actually, what it means. So you have your website has this website has a script file and also CSS file. So who loads the CSS file and who loads the script file? The browser which where you are loading this particular page is responsible for loading those files. Okay, you just remember the things. The role of the browser is something like displays the web page, and it updates the content, and it and it loads the files like JavaScript files, CSS files, and all the HTML files. Okay, till this part you just make yourself comfortable configuring the VS code and understanding the things of till browser, what is the role of browser, and how you are preparing the files actually. So this like HTML file, .html file, .js file, .css file. So what it means is .html is nothing but a HTML file, .js is nothing but a JS file, .css is nothing but a CSS file, and one more thing you will be having one more .htm. This is also HTML file. So you might have three letter extension, or also four letter extension. Okay, you just go through these things which are required for your development phase to be started. Okay, Tomorrow session we'll be continuing understanding the HTML, what actually HTML, what actually HTML has. So, what type of elements? How do you use How do you use HTML to build a web page? So, what sort of content you can build using HTML? Those all the things we'll be discussing one by one in the later classes. But this is for this is all about for this session. If you have anything to ask, and if you have any doubts, please let me know. I'll try to clear your doubts. For now, this is where this class is. This session is not. This session is all about this one only. Tomorrow session will be complete. We'll be covering few more things. We'll be growing. We'll be going very slow. We'll be going slowly to will be understanding each and everything in an architecture level that would be helpful for you in future. So I'll try to give as much of content I can give because it's all about understanding the architecture, not about writing the code. Okay, so that's all for this session. If you have any doubts, you stay back to ask to discuss with me. Tomorrow at the same time we'll be meeting with a few more content. Okay, thank you guys. If you have any doubts, you stay back, we'll discuss, or else you can leave the class. Huh? Do anyone have any doubts?
I have a doubt, Anna. This is Deepika.
Yeah.
Uh, can you show me how to save the file in Visual Studio Code once again?
Okay, so what you want to do means once after installing VS
Ah,
Code, you just
okay.
decide one place. Okay, you just decide one place. So it might
Oh,
be desktop, it might be anything, any folder. So I have chosen local disk D, right? Now I'll be choosing the folder desktop. Control Shift N. Okay. And, I'll just create this. Just you can create right a new folder by click on new and also new folder. Then it will create a new folder. Or else you
oh,
can use Control Shift N. Control Shift N. Okay. I'll write it here. Control plus Shift N. Okay. So this will create a new folder on your location where you are trying to create a folder. Okay. And you just do one thing. I just open this folder. And if you want to create any file, you can directly create here. I would suggest you to create from VS Code. So for this, I'll try to open this one in this particular folder, new folder in VS Code. Okay. I'm trying to open this. Just observe the things, what I'm doing. You can revise after the class also. Just
okay.
click on CMD here. Then after you'll be opening this command prompt window. Then here code space dot. You click on this new folder would be directly opening. It will open in VS Code. You can go here. You can go here and you will file this one. This is new file. This is new folder. This I will be explaining once we are once we start learning everything. But if you want to create one new file, you can click here one new file. Then you can give what are the name you can give index.html. I'm just going to give
Got it.
index.html. This will create index.html folder, the index.html file in this new folder. Okay, that's all.
Got it, Anna. That's clear. Thank you.
That's all. Whatever the things you can do here, from here you can just practice by creating folders or creating files inside VS Code. That would be helpful for your future development. Okay, you can create from here also. You can just create from here also, but I would not suggest to do that one. I would suggest you to practice doing this using VS Code. That would you will get practice to VS Code actually. Okay. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything? Anyone have any doubts? And am I going speed? If I'm going very rushy way, just to let me know. I'll slow and I'll try to make comfortable. If you are not comfortable, if you are comfortable with what is the pace I was going, just it's okay. Just say it's okay. Or else, if you are not comfortable or if you are facing any issues in understanding, just stop me right away. That would be beneficial for everyone. So I could understand, I could make my flow according to your understanding. Okay. Okay, guys. If you don't have any other doubts, we shall leave. I mean, Gayatri, Girish, Kuruteja, Jalaja, Pallavi. So, do you guys have any question? Means, please let me know. or else you can leave the session. I believe no doubts. And I already said you in previous session, don't sit idle. Okay. You need to speak something. You need to understand something. Okay. Okay, guys. Meet you in tomorrow session. Bye bye.